Hello and welcome. I know I've done a couple of videos on dominoes before, but I did get this new dominoes mold, this holographic mold I just love. So I'm going to make another set of dominoes, and I'm only going to use resin and this electric green pigment paste. All I'm going to do is add electric green pigment paste to this. I will show you a technique though that helps when you're doing dominoes. For this project, I am using 12 ounces of resin, and I am going to use this much pigment paste, which I know defies what I normally say about pigment paste, but it is the only color I'm using in 12 ounces, so in it goes. And make sure that you mix that very well. You don't want it to be streaky, and it might take a minute or so just to really get that mixed in. And the reason I'm using so much of the pigment paste is because I want it to be dark. I don't want it opaque, or I want it to actually be dense, or as dense as I can get. Alright, and now that that's mixed up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pipette and I'm going to put that in there and fill it. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of resin in the domino, and I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to paint that in to the mold. And what that'll do is help alleviate some of the bubbles that you might get around the pips on the domino. Now you can just pour it in. You may get bubbles. Even doing this, you could still possibly get bubbles, but this greatly reduces that risk, or at least that's what I've found. And I'm just getting it in just till it covers those little pips. Now that will make the project take a little bit longer, but to me it's well worth it. And you have options once you get to this point. You could do a light torch. I'm not a big fan of the torch. You could use your heat gun. I would recommend doing all this, of course, once you have them all filled, but just to show you. I am a big fan of the heat gun. And your other option is to spritz it with some isopropyl, which I'm also a big fan of. So I'm going to do that exact same thing on all of the dominoes. And so you don't have to watch me do all of this, I will fast forward you. Now to speed this along, I am using this cup. I showed the pipette because if you're new to resin, you're better off using that to help you control how much you're putting into the mold each time. If you're a little more advanced with it, then by all means, use a cup or something to make it go faster. Alright, once you have that first layer, then you go in with the heat. I do heat and isopropyl, so I'm going to do heat first. And I went over each one, but I didn't stay on any. If you do, you have the chance of actually seizing the resin to the mold, so be careful. Now I'm going to spritz it with isopropyl. And I am going to wait about 45 seconds just to let some of that burn off, and then I will go ahead and fill the entire mold. Alright, so now I'm going back in and I'm filling each mold. and I'm just sticking to the paper cup because it's easier to control. Okay, and just to follow up, the mold is now full, and this took about 10 ounces of resin. And since I did fill them all the way to the top, I am just going to do a spritz of isopropyl, and that's it. Because I don't want it to start running over, and if I use heat, it could possibly. But that's it. Very simple, easy way to make dominoes, and tomorrow we will find out if they look nice. So I will let these cure per the manufacturer's instructions, and I will be back. Okay, these are now cured and ready to be demolded. Okay, you ready to have a look? See how cool that came out? And no bubbles. And then you can just use a marker to fill in the pips if you want to do so. So I'm just going to use this chrome marker on this one to show you what I'm talking about. Just want to stick it in the pip and move it around. And don't worry about the edges because we'll go back over that with some isopropyl alcohol. And there you have it. Super easy. Turn out beautiful. And I'll go ahead and continue filling in the pips on all of these, but I'm sure no one would want to waste their time watching that. Okay, I finished going and doing the pips on all of this, and so I'll take you in for a final view, a close-up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and press the bell to be alerted to future videos.